Echoes, a podcast by Srot Jigyasa. In this podcast, we have Dr. Tapan Misra, one of the best scientific minds in space exploration, with us today. He is one of the pioneering scientists in Chandrayaan-3 and Gaganyaan, and he has also been the former director of Space Application Center at ISRO and the Physical Research Laboratory. His tenure at ISRO reflects his keen interest in science and research, which has led to enormous advancement in space technology. Join us as we delve into his incredible journey and gain insights into fascinating worlds of space exploration.
Hello everyone, and again welcome to Echoes. I am your host Rupam Kundu,
And I'm Natasha Tripathi.
and today we have the privilege of talking to our trailblazing scientist, Dr. Tapan Misra. So thank you for joining us today.
And thank you very much for the kind introduction. And let me welcome all your listeners to your podcast. And today, the future of the recording also. Let us begin.
Sir, your journey into space research is very inspiring. I just had a question in mind. What made you take this as a career in your life? Like, what inspired you to pursue it as a career?
Yes, actually, I never actually planned it to be a career. If I tell you, you will laugh at it how I joined ISRO. Actually, I passed out from Jadavpur University and then I had a very good GATE rank. So I was to go to the School of Automation in an Indian Institute of Science. And I got 3 jobs. Of them, the lowest paying was the ISRO. The highest paying was double than whatever they expected. Because the highest paying was the Jensen Electric. Those days, the famous politician, Jawaharlal Nehru was born. And I was supposed to work on Gaganyaan. And I went to buy ticket for Bangalore. I wanted to join ISC. For some reason, the last moment I thought, anyway, the GATE score is valid for 3 years. I can join ISC next year. Let me give ISRO a try. So instead of Bangalore, I bought a ticket for Ahmedabad. And that is how I came to ISRO. Like, it is a very, very accidental. It is really not planned. Neither ever I imagined that. But after coming to ISRO, I found it's a different world. That ISRO, they are only fellows. Those days in ISRO, when people waited, and those MTechs or BTechs from IITs and or PhDs from IITs or abroad. And then I was one of the 3 who were non-IIT people were selected. And surprisingly, there was no taker for me. All prestigious programs, they were like a communication or remote sensing. They were used to fill up like this, all these MTechs from all IITs and all, or the BTechs. And there was no taker for me. Even I went to request personally, why there is so many people are being taken for so many jobs and all. I had to wait for 1 month for given a job. And they say after 1 month, I was declared that I was the first employee of micro remote sensing program. And I found myself in a group which was struggling with a radar donated by Navy, the Marconi radar. And we were supposed to make it work. And the team was consisting of people who are not liked by others. And the union leaders were there. And there are people who are very passionate, but they were not with you. And everybody thought there was no future in it. And I also thought I have no future in it because I bunked the classes in radar in college. And it was a very alien subject. I have one advice to all of you. if you bunk a class, you please remember that tomorrow you may be forced to work on that field which the class you have bunked. So don't bunk any class. And you will be surprised. We started building that side-looking airborne radar. People used to laugh, from 836 kilometer height. IRS-1A was giving such a crystal clear picture of 23-meter resolution, and I was moving around with an image of a 150-meter resolution taken from a 2-kilometer height. And that Dakota was we had an old Dakota aircraft. We repaired the hardware and we started measuring it. And I, if I look back, I was actually fortunate. Everybody was given a working thing to work with, and I was given a broken thing to work with. And the learning you get from the broken thing is a much more than what you learn from a working thing. And that is how we and finally we built synthetic aperture radar, then radiometer, then spaceborne SAR, and all RISAT 1, RISAT 2, A to B, then all this thing. And my career got changed, and I was the most uneducated director heading Space Application Center and PRL. And in fact, once a PhD student was leaving, he came to my room to sign the no objection letter. And he asked me, I signed it, and he went to the other side of the door. Then he returned. He says, "Sir, I came to know you are not a doctorate." I said, "I am not." After some time, he says, "Sir, you are not an MTech." I said, "Yes, of course not." Then he says, "Sir, you are just a BTech and you are sitting on Bikram Sarabhai's chair." I said, "That is what is called fate." You know, so many people had so many bright fates, and I had this fate with me. So I will not tell that they don't go for the higher education or anything. You must go for higher education. You can strive and all. But what matters at the end of the day, your contribution which is visible to others. And it is not that who will beat your drum except yourself. Don't go by that. If you have done sincere work, it will be visible to others. If you have not done sincere work, you have to advertise yourself. And when you come across people advertising their works and so telling you that they have done a great work, I actually take them with a pinch of salt. If you are working, your work will be visible. Your work will be visible, through the glint on your eyes. And if you are bluffing, you will also be caught. And that's all. And I, after my retirement from ISRO, I decided, I have hardly a few decades in front of me. All of you having maybe a lot of number of decades. And I thought, why not do a company? Because I actually especially started SAR because the SAR data is a very costly one. And it is an excellent sensor. In fact, our country, people are paying through the nose to buy this radar. No fighter aircraft is there which is not having a synthetic aperture radar, because it is not only day and night, but it is a much more accurate geometrically in comparison to optical sensors. It's only affected by just a translational location, not angular location. So that is why it is a one order better accurate sensor. And in fact, the half the cost of the aircraft is actually the synthetic aperture radar there. Aircraft body engine actually costs less. In fact, if you look at if we cost aircraft engine, body, and all, with a electronics cost 600 crores, the synthetic aperture radar will cost around 300 crores. That is the difference. And because there are few people to build a synthetic aperture radar in the country, unfortunately, to the except my group, no other group in the country could build a synthetic aperture radar till today, not even the exalted institutions. It's a, I thought, why not build it on drone to bring down the cost drastically and it will be useful for people. Now it's a new product. We are building and testing. And in fact, when I got a call from one of you, I don't know who called me, I actually rushed from testing the synthetic aperture radar. We have a lot of software bugs and all. And God has given me the strength even today to sit with people with younger than my son's age, sit with them, write software, test hardware, experiment, run around and all. I do that, and it's very exhilarating and very interesting. And in ISRO, I learned what not to do in your management of engineering, and I am applying them. And we have already tested our synthetic aperture radar, but we are refining it. Will come out in public the product, and it will be the India's first synthetic aperture radar built outside ISRO. And though the ISRO thing was also built by me, but it will be very interesting because why I took it, apart from a cost, it was a very challenge, that a synthetic aperture radar, if a space-bound synthetic aperture radar cost 100 rupees, the aircraft synthetic aperture radar will cost 50 to 80 rupees because the aircraft costs are also very high and the operation costs are very high, and the drones will cost around 10 rupees. But if you see the signal processing complexity, the spacebound SAR, if it is a complexity 1, airborne synthetic aperture radar will be 10, and a drone-borne synthetic aperture radar will be 100, because it's a more unstable platform, so it calls for very, very strong signal processing. In fact, I am going to patent a new processing algorithm which is only suitable for SAR on drone. So this is what a journey, and everybody says, you had a fabulous journey. It is not. I have an only very interesting journey. I kept it on interesting. Whatever, you know, attracted my attention, I built it, including hyperspectral systems, including high throughput communication satellites, and it is just an interest. I am you can say that everybody builds a career on one subject, but whatever interested me, I put my hand in it, and I don't know whether I enriched the subject, but I enriched myself more. So that is my journey.
No doubt that's an inspiring journey for all of our listeners there listening to this podcast, obviously. But you have mentioned about about the PhD students, but I would like to ask these questions once again that your contributions to ISRO have been remarkable. So could you tell us some of the most memorable projects or mission you were involved in during your tenure as a director of SSE and
Yes.
ERS?
So obviously, I am known for the synthetic aperture radar.
Right.
But one is that in the airborne synthetic aperture radar, you see that you buy any airborne synthetic aperture radar from any other country, the all radar will have a gimbal system. It is to minimize the motion compensation. It has to point towards a right angle to the track. And The and they will specify, they will give you that this SAR on a platform which flies very high. Like the Israeli aircraft industries gives you the airborne SAR which flies at a 14-kilometer height. The Predator UAVs, what is being bought by Indian government from USA, or that APQ-19, it also flies to 14 to 15-kilometer height because the motion. And I made the first algorithm which actually much more, in fact it is probably the one of the best algorithm, where we don't need a antenna stabilization system, because if you get rid of gimbal, you get rid of almost a 80 kg mass and the complexity between operating in a low pressure region. And we did it mathematically. Everybody wants to put a antenna pointing perpendicular to the track direction. Instead, I went other way around. I mathematically compensated data as if it is flying in a direction perpendicular to the present pointing direction. So everybody has an antenna steering algorithm. I had a track steering algorithm, which is patented, and it is one of the best co- contribution by me. And one is that the synthetic aperture, all in when you are studying, it is just something, it hurts me. It is in ISRO also. You see that it is as if, when you are working, you will be told, the PhD, if you are doing, you will be told, look for what others have worked and you have to follow on it. So your half the thesis will be filled up with all that account of what other people have done all over the world. And you are adding delta to that. And it is also in ISRO. Though ISRO is one of the best and finest organization in the whole India, but somehow, it is our Indian psyche built in it that if something is not done by another country, we cannot do it. We have to be always second or third. We are so proud, that say, um, we tell that, in 100-meter race, we came fourth. In hurdles, we came fourth. In the Olympic football, we came bronze medalist. And we feel so proud and we jump around this. I'm not telling that's any less achievement. But somehow, we do not feel, that we are the best. Obviously, other people should tell. Why I'm telling the synthetic of the RISAT are we built, we have introduced two very new concepts. One is that the sub-meter resolution in C-band, India was the first to pioneer. India was the first to pioneer very large high resolution imaging. It's a 10 by 100 kilometer area, where the international standard was the only 5 by 5 kilometer or 1 by 1 kilometer. And fourth, the polarimetric measurements used to be very, exclusive measurements. I only democratized it, and I brought that a hybrid polarimetry. Now it can go seamlessly with any imaging modes. And these three, and apart from that, we built India's first active array radar. And this active array radar, that too not only just ground, it is in the space. And in fact, I must say the synthetic aperture radars today, two classes, one before RISAT and one after RISAT. In fact, I feel very good that people are having the similar parameters like what RISAT had. You check that the radar sat continuity mission. In fact, I only advise their SAR making. it's compared to radar set 1 and 2, if you compare the dimensions and parameters of RCM or will appear identical to RISAT. So it was the first. And second, I had a very, we built India's first MMIC chips. In fact, we source 99.5% components in India. We built a number of industries, which is qualified for space qualified production. In fact, today they are the mainstay of the space revolution, which is going through the country. So this was one. Another, I feel my most contribution was, there's a dual frequencies are in Chandrayaan-1, Chandrayaan-2. Because Chandrayaan-1, people did not give me any hawa because the Americans were the competitor, and everybody loves Americans, we want American genes, Americans, so we wanted American SAR. So I have no qualm about that. But the Chandrayaan-2, I bid for the SAR. You have to compete in ISRO. I remember the Professor Ivar Rao was there, and that there was a competitor. Obviously, the competitor was, that NASA SAR. Because, once you have flown second time also, you should fly. That is the normal logic. I went and proposed L and S band SAR and fully polarimetric. And now the compared to, it is a dual frequency. The hardware was 4 times, and the mass of that NASA SAR was 11.5 kg in Chandrayaan-1. So Yuvar Rao said, because I started giving better specifications, Yuvar Rao said that to checkmate me, you are given 15 kg. The last SAR I built is a 950 kg, the RISAT SAR. I was foolish enough to say, yes, sir, we'll build in 15 kg. And I came back, I was almost going to be lynched by my colleagues. It is a ludicrous number, even the Americans would not have dared. And but finally, we actually brought into this focus a huge amount of miniaturization, thinking differently, fabricating differently. And we finally achieved 16.5 kg. It is alive in Chandrayaan-1 and it is working exceedingly well. Similarly, there was though I did not build directly, but I had a big influence on it. That is the hyper impacted, just to aside, and today the NISR, which is going to fly, in fact I was the prime designer on that with the JPL people, and it is designed in LNS band, following that an idea in that dual frequencies are in Chandrayaan-2. It is exactly the same frequencies it is being done, but it is for the Earth it is being done, and when it will be flying, I will not be there in ISRO. That's a different aspects altogether. But another one that is a hyperspectral. Actually, for Chandrayaan-2, no, we have ordered an hyperspectral. I don't want to name the company. It's a famous European company. We got that hyperspectral system. And we had a spectral resolution of a 17 nanometer. And when you receive the item, that's it was costing heavily, and it had a resolution of the order of 40 to 50 nanometer, and it was ordered by some previous regime. And when it was difficult to accept. Everybody said that Chandrayaan-2 launch date is there, you accept it. I said, because this is the only, it is from a party which is regarded the boss in hyperspectral system making. And my heart was not agreeing to it. So I called all the people, and all the senior people, they got very worried. If this company could not build, how can we? I said, who wants to sacrifice your career? And this all senior people kept quiet. Then one lady she was from Calcutta University. I think she, without understanding, raised her hand fully. And seeing a lady raising hand, there are other people who raised hand halfway through. Some raised some fingers, some just as if pretended as if they're raising and all. And they finally all got a motley team who are not experts. And we actually built the hyperspectral system, machining on metal, and it cost actually 1/100th of what we procured from outside. And we flew, and it had a spectral resolution of 16 nanometer, and this is what is still flying in Chandrayaan-2. And it was a great achievement that कभी कभी ठान लिया हो ना तो तुम कर ही लोगे. ऐसा नहीं कि दुनिया पे दूसरे कोई कर सकते हैं और जो तुम नहीं कर सकते हो, एक्चुअली तुम जो कर सकते हो तो दूसरे नहीं कर सकते, ऐसा सोच के चलने का. And it was a very, very interesting moment for me to build it. And another, I am very, must say, it is becoming dark. Let me switch on the light, if you don't mind.
No, sir, it's fine.
See that in GSAT 29, we ISRO wanted to build a GISAT. What is GISAT? It is a camera going in flying in a class orbit, that's a 36,000 kilometer, and it will have a resolution of 40 to 50 meter, so that the India is imaged at a very high resolution all the time. And in fact, a GISAT was built, and it's actually the launch failed, and we lost the satellite subsequently. It is only after I retired it happened. But then the GISAT was taking long time. The reason is the GISAT, that if you want to build at that altitude with a camera, you need a camera mirror of 1.3 meter dia. And if you want to build 1.3 meter dia, you need a metal, the zeroed out material is of the order of 6 by 6 meter, a blank. And it has to be cooled, probably a 0.1 or 0.2 degrees per day over a period of 6 to 8 months. After that, you get a crystal defect-free area of the order of probably 2 by 2 meter. That will be required to be machined to 1.3 meter by 24 hours robotics operation. It will take another 8 months. So before you place an order and when you obtain the product, you are actually crossed a time span of more than 2 years. In fact, it was becoming very defective. So what with the GSAT 29, I told boys that you see, my wavelengths are in centimeters and meters. I am in microwave. And optical people, they told about 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer or 1000. Their units are different, all angstroms. Mine is meters and centimeters. And I told these boys, why don't you look at the mobile technology? The mobile lens is very poor. It is actually a pinhole camera. It's actually the images at a poor resolution, but the image is sampled at a very fine spacing, and then it is super resolution algorithm is done to give you the fine images. So the best camera photography, mobile camera photography, is not because of optics it is because of the better super resolution algorithm. So I requested the the boys, why don't we adopt this technology? No, they said, no, we have to go the straightforward technology. If I want to get this resolution, then I put lambda by D, and the D becomes aperture. The aperture becomes so many meters. It cannot be compromised. It cannot be done anything. And then I got exasperated, Then I said, okay, you build one a 250-meter diameter, because when you become 250-meter diameter, no, it becomes an aluminum net. It takes 1 week to machine. And it had a resolution. Everybody said it will have a resolution of 300 meters from 36,000. I said, okay. But use a detector of a much finer pitch, as if it is sampled at a 30-meter spacings. And the super. In fact, we did this one. The payload was actually fraction of mass-wise, fraction of the cost of the original GISAT. It is still operating in the GSAT 29 as a R&D payload, and it gives you resolution of 40 meters through mathematically. And imagine if we adopted this technology, instead of at the cost of one GISAT, we could have built 10 such satellites with a much smaller dimension. The payload becomes small, the satellite becomes small,
Yeah.
and everything goes down, and the cost goes down by square. And that is what would have happened. I think that was one of the contribution for which I am really proud of. That's a technology. What happens, when you become too specialized, we become the horses with the eyes closed. We only see somebody has shown you a road and you see that. And you don't want to see there are technologies and ideas in some other field which can be adopted to in another situation. You not just you have to innovate all the time. There are ideas which is somebody else has built for some other thing. You can still absorb it and use it for something else. And I did not do anything extraordinary. I only knew the mobile camera, how it works, and I used this one for the space camera. And today, it has become standard. These all small satellites giving high resolution cameras is actually following the same principle what we did. Only thing ISRO did not patent, and ISRO thought, okay, it is one of the technologies, why to worry on this? And ISRO went on building the bigger and bigger satellites. And the planet Earth and all, they built the small satellites. And they captured the market. So this is what the learning is. It gives me. It's not criticism of ISRO. Please, you understand. ISRO is a fantastic organization. It is an overall mindset of a country as a whole. Our thought process, we can never expect to be doing something as a first. We always expect ourselves, we will be doing something to be second. We are very proud, not as a founder of Google, but another exalted employee of Google. We feel so proud. We don't build another Google in our country, but we feel exalted that one Indian person became a chief of ABCD, which is not even Google, it is a part of it. But we feel so proud. We feel so proud, our boys have become employees in some other big companies. But instead of they themselves building big companies. So this is what we need to change this. It needs a psychological setup. Maybe it's because one advantage I had, let's say, growing from the very ground level. From the level, you are not expected to succeed. And when you work, I am the person who worked soldering, who has one countless points soldered. I have worked in the software. I have worked in algorithm. I have worked in signal processing. I have worked in microwave. MMI systems design. I have worked in RF. I worked in integration, and I have worked in antenna measurement, near field test setup. I built setups after setups. It is all because the day ISRO gave me a job, not with a very promising future, but a future where you have to struggle. I am thankful to ISRO for giving me that startup, that start point in career where you learn to struggle. Struggling also has to be learned.
Right, sir. That's really an amazing story. Moving on from this topic, I want to ask you that one of the most notable mission for ISRO was Chandrayaan-2, and you were deeply involved with that.
Yes.
While the orbiter was a great success, the lander Vikram faced some issues during the descent.
Yeah.
As someone intimately involved in this mission, could you share some insights into the challenge faced during the critical phase, and specifically, what proactive measures did ISRO implement to enhance the reliability and success of Chandrayaan 3 and 4 more forthcoming missions?
Yes, Chandrayaan-2 lander is a classic case we should learn. And
Right.
ISRO learned and corrected. See, ISRO's one good thing, ISRO imbibed a culture of dissecting a failure and learning from it and correcting itself. It's
Yes.
very few people can do it. See, because you are all in physics people, you must understand the to maintain stability of a space vehicle, that resultant thrust should pass through the center of gravity.
Definitely.
If it passes by the center of gravity, then there will be couple and the vehicle will rotate.
Mm.
So, what is the best way to pass it to the center of gravity is in having only single engine, where the thrust will always, if I align it, because the thrust has an area and instead of a straight line, the vector has a certain volume. So I can estimate center of gravity very nicely, it will pass through. But then for landing on moon, we needed thruster or an engine which is of the order of 1.5 to 2 kilo Newton. But we didn't have that engine on a hydrogen based engine. So we had an 800 Newton hydrogen engine. So the idea was, okay, if you don't have a single engine, put two on diametrically opposite, and then you have, and obviously you have a main and redundant, so you use total four engines. Two engines in one diameter and another two engines in diameter. In case of failure, the others will get triggered off. But there was I will not blame ISRO management because there was just some bright ideas. Because what happens when you move around, no, somebody will come. अरे तुम ऐसा मत चलो गिर जाओगे, सामने तुम और एक साइकिल ले लो. वो भले उसको पता है कि रास्ते पे कीचड़ है. So they're similar, all these big people, we have a passion that if you have a glamorous project, so you should have glamorous committees with, involving a lot of directors of such big institutions and all. And when you bring big elephants together, they make a lot of noise and give you a new suggestion. Because if you don't give new suggestion, what is the value? So they said you build fifth engine, put it at the center so that now three will burn together. So they put it, and I think that it's a very sad part. I think that is the one which created, because in life, in some cases it is more the merrier, but space it is always the less the merrier. So we learn from it. So we have done a change to the original two thruster combination. Is we jettison the fifth engine, because now that now earlier the two points passing through the center of gravity, now the third is added.
Yeah.
All have to be aligned. And when the fuel drops, there is a sloshing in the fuel. How it goes and all, you don't know. The CG starts shifting. So these issues are there. So what they did this time, they have taken 300 kg extra fuel, because we do not know it actually landed on a moon or not. But at this time we have taken 300 kg extra fuel. So if you want to hover, we can go to a better point. But all said and done, all space projects are very risky.
Yes.
Anything where the human being has no direct control, it becomes risk. When you come out of your parents' control, you go to independent life, you take another risk in life. Similar with the hardware, which you are not seeing. It is some few minutes away. The command takes to reach there minutes, and then the command has to execute, and you don't know what it is. You are not seeing it in real time. You're seeing on a delay, because there is almost a few seconds delay will be there, and all this makes it complicated. And I pray, and I always believe that ISRO has put in 100% effort, and never in 100%. When a people put a sincere effort, it doesn't go wrong. It will bring us success. And the failure, it's a very funny history. The failures are is like this. You are riding a cycle. What sort of failure can the spoke can get broken, the handle can get jammed, the chain can come out, the wheel can get, the tire can get punctured, and all. But you see that all are possible. If your tire gets punctured, you can still drive. Your wheel is jammed, your handle is jammed, you somehow can manage. But your chain goes out, you are not able to go proceed further. You have to stop. So then that it's not always the probability of failure. If the failure occurs at which point. If it happens in a particular point, in a very critical point, the whole mission goes wrong. If it happens in another position where it is not very critical, it is like, if you walk on two legs, it's fine. But if one leg gets damaged, you can still limp and go, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
But your brain is damaged, you can neither walk nor swim, and nothing you can do.
Right.
So it depends on the failure types. It is not always the statistical probability of failure. So we have many times recovered many missions and all, and they learned ISRO this time. I think that the Somnath would have done a great job in
Mm.
reviewing them. And I did not see any national committee reviewing such a payload. I don't know whether I am not aware, maybe. But it has done a good job, and I feel that everything is going very smoothly. So end should be also smooth. It should land, and it will make all of us proud. But again, I'll tell you that the country gets hooked, for getting a certain amount of zingoism. Oh, this is bringing a great laurel. Obviously, it means a great laurel. Because the perception of laurel is different to different set of people. But for ISRO, every mission is equally critical. None of it is under your control. You cannot see it and all. Whether it's a moon or it is going to geostationary orbit or sending a SAR or deployment, everything is equally critical.
Right.
And the country comes to know something which appears glamorous, and country doesn't come to know if it is not doing glamorous. But that you are not having food shortage in the country, you should thank ISRO's remote sensing system.
Yes.
And that after the Orissa cyclone, people are not the cyclones are coming equally strong, but the people are not dying. You thank ISRO, and I thank myself because I built the scatterometer payload. Actually, this I forgot to tell you, which can actually measure the wind speed and direction at a 2 meter per second and a 20-degree accuracy. And that made possible that predicting the trajectory of cyclones much easier. In fact, it has a genesis, in 1999 in Orissa cyclone. Actually, that 5th October, I was going to Puri. My train was there, Konark Express from Bombay to Khurda and then Puri. And I boarded and got caught in the cyclone. And in fact, for 7 days, I was stuck in Baluga. Luckily, the train stopped in Baluga, and Baluga is my sister's place. And I have seen that everything. Then I went to Puri. Surprisingly, the Puri was unscathed, but the Bhubaneswar was totally flattened. And then while returning, when the train connections were done, I I could see that I went to Kolkata, and I could see that the dead bodies floating and the Balesar adjacent. And I never thought that the death can be so brutally equal. Human dead body is floating alongside with the carcass of animals. It's something, pained me like anything. I built and I came, and actually we had some leftover hardware from RISAT. I said, why not test it as a scatterometer? And that is why I built the first scatterometer, and which became a very, very celebrated sensor. Today we have two more scatterometers, and we are getting all the cyclone information, and we have having no more repetition of Orissa cyclone. And the death count in all cyclones, if you see after 1999, it was launched in 2009, and 2009 onwards, you see that death count is less than uh, is always in one digit, and you don't see that the cattle are dead. The cyclones are equally strong. They come category 4, category 5, and everything. But and this is what makes me great satisfaction. In fact, since I brought this one, this is actually the first scatterometer built with a precursor to RISAT. We wanted to test some of its hardware, and I thought, why not build a scatterometer which will be useful? And ISRO agreed, and we flew it, and it was a great journey.
Yeah.
So it is quite well said that with experience comes great wisdom, and through your experience, your contribution has really brought us great success. Also, let us hope for the success of Chandrayaan-3. With that, I want to move on to another topic. There have been several ongoing missions like Gaganyaan, which is a crewed orbital spacecraft mission. What do you think? How will this mission impact the space research of India?
If you ask me, let's say we must take that. We were late in that human space mission, but the whole of ISRO's budget is only around $1 billion plus.
Yeah.
That's each of the NASA center budget is around $1.5 billion. So, and you can blame us for anything, but you must thank ISRO for building things in a very frugal way, in our own way. And the human space mission, why I think should be taken, because you, I have an analogy to the Columbus. In 1452, the there is a fourth crusade was over, and the King Saladin closed the Silk Route crossing the Istanbul. And Silk Route was the life route for Europe import export with China and India. And India was that time a GDP was one of the highest GDP countries. And the these Europeans, they were trying to find another route to connect to India. And the Columbus came that he told that the earth must be round, so you can go opposite direction and reach India, even if it is close on the sea. And those days, the prevalent idea of a charge that the earth is flat, so you cannot go opposite direction reach India. So nobody wanted to anger charge, so nobody funded. In fact, he moved from Italy to Spain and to Portugal, and he married in all the places to get favor of that country. And he struggled from 1472 to 1492, and finally he was funded by crowd funded by one small city in a small town in Portugal, and his mission was all the three boats were funded by this city people with a donation, and he went and found America. Had he not found this, taken this risk and moved, the history would have been different. There may be much less innovation, and human being would not have learned that a slavery can be used to fuel industrial revolution. A brutality can be used to fuel industrial revolution. We would not have known that a James Watt's engine, it was lying for this cotton factories for 100 years, and nobody thought that you can put it on a ship and you can cross river. You don't need slaves to uh, cross the seas, and you can put it on wheels. It becomes a railway line, and it became a greatest tool for movement of there's a cotton and this maize from USA to the ports and back to Europe. It became a great tool for East India Company to transport opium, indigo, masala to the Indian ports, and cotton to Indian ports, and then export to this. So you see that all the good things and bad things of the civilization came because America was discovered. Had it not discovered, the history would have been different and all. But similarly, who knows that we are only destined to live on, who knows, after 1,000 years, just like we are traveling from one country to another, we may be traveling from one planet to another.
Right.
Somebody will be going for honeymoon in the moon. This can also happen. And you don't know, you cannot predict. In my college days, I could not predict mobile phone. I could never imagine the WhatsApp can do such things. It is doing. So what the future will be doing, you do not know. Whether the human being will only breathe in oxygen, or they can breathe in some other gas, or it can be, they may not need to breathe. They may have another oxidizer tablet they may be taking and living. It can also so happen. It may so happen that you will be converted into a computer simulation and a weapon and sent to some other place, and you'll be reborn.
Right.
Who knows, why 46 genes are controlling ourselves to such a myriad varieties and races and different mental strengths. It's all the, a programming in a 46 genes.
Hmm.
Is It is an unimaginable computer system we still could not discover, by changing, 46 chromosome and changing one gene and other. I can make you cancerous patient, or I can make you Carl Lewis. You don't know whether we ourselves are also and another robot programmed by somebody else. This is a robot, we are also some robot. The way the robots started behaving, they're rivaling human being. Who knows, one day will be decimated by the robots and robots will take over and they don't need oxygen to live and behave and thought process. So if anything, if as is all said and done, a human being is still a tribal, all global village and all concerned. We have to keep aloft human Indian civilization. There is no human civilization. Whatever you do, whatever philosophical exercise and or whatever Marxist philosophy you put, at the end of the day, we all get together with an identical chromosome combinations. That is tribalism. And this tribalism it will be rampant and human race will compete, these tribals will compete. These tribals will compete, that a white skin tribals will be trying to keep others. The Chinese skin tribals will be trying to keep away Indian tribe. So if we have to keep our civilization, which is extremely old, probably goes back to 35,000 years. If I see the cave paintings of Madhya Pradesh, and we have to keep aloft our civilization. It is not jingoism. It is a race, a civilization, and we are an unique human race. We are may not be a different species, but we have a different variety. And this variety keeps us aloft, and we have to keep trying to go to space. There may be better ways, and sooner we do, the better it is. It has to be not for the future, for tomorrow. It may not be in the Tapan Misra's lifetime, but it may be in your lifetime.
Right, sir.
So it is incredible to envision the future of space technology. As you talk about progress, and how do you see India's role in the emerging commercial space economy, sir?
You see, better late than never. We have, we get a good ideas, but late. See, that every organization, no? See, why ISRO is different? ISRO's management structure is just, probably slightly better than some IITs or IISs. So ISRO has a product visible. But then, every system, every organization, when does it fail? When the vision from the top doesn't reach the employees at the bottommost level. And as long as it leads to the bottommost level, the goal or vision of an organization, the organization succeeds. ISRO has mastered the technology of sending the vision and goal from top level to the lowest level of fabricators. But then as the organization grows and grows, then there will be some intermediate, lot of breakages will be there, and beyond a size you cannot grow. If you want to, even if you put huge amount of money, you bring the world's best specialists, and it will not grow, it will stop growing. And ISRO has come to that stage. So what is we need this country? 10 ISROs, not one ISRO. If the 10 ISROs have to be built, who can build these 10 ISROs? Because, okay, if I ask tomorrow 10 ISROs, they will not come. Should we ask Ambani's and Tata's to come and build another ISRO? I doubt they can be able to make, because they are designed, their organization, their management structure, their philosophies are designed for a certain, giving certain amount of service in the most efficient way. Will the MSMEs which are doing the replacement of defense technology in India, will they be able to do? I doubt, because they were basically converting, an imported kit to a product. So you need a more assembler than actually a visualizer. So who can visualize? It is the younger minds. Whether I trust them, you have to trust, because as long as human civilization progressed, it is always the younger people taken the lead. Today's Narendra Modi at one time a student leader. Einstein was a one engineering student reading the patent papers. Or Arthur C. Clarke, at one time he was scientist, then he became a writer. It so happens, it is the young people can take it up. So the 10 ISROs will be built probably in another 15 to 20 years. And the beginning has been made. There has been a younger people are coming, and obviously there are just certain older people also have joined in this race. Not that it is to guide these people and give an example to this. And of them, some will succeed, some will fail, and there will be very few who will excel. So this is the natural evolutionary process. May not be exactly Darwinian, but it may be an industrial revolution process, and it will just always the survival of the fittest, and the best people will come. So there will be a lot of trauma. There will be you will find that a lot of MNCs will be trying to kill these startups. There is a lot of Indian companies trying to grab them. There will be a lot of young minds, they suddenly find in 3 years they could collect 5 crores and retire. That will also can happen. There will be some people who bluffed people and collected huge amount of money and then swindling it out. It can also happen. But at the end of the day, a few excellent companies will remain, and they will grow and bring it to become 10 ISROs in the country. I'm looking forward to this day, but this day is not tomorrow or today or day after tomorrow. We have to be patient for some more years.
Right, sir. Moving on to the from this topic, like, so you have witnessed the growth of ISRO and India space program over years. So, what advice would you give to the young aspiring scientists and engineers who want to pursue a career in space exploration?
I told you, I have never imagined my space scientist career.
Right.
I got it. So there is always you have a knowledge, everything, but there are circumstances
Mm.
which makes you this thing. So this happens. But my personal, the space scientists are not different from another scientist. They are not from, they are not from Mars or Venus.
Mm.
They are from India, between all the people. Uh, it is the some people who have somehow mastered the art of doing things mostly flawlessly. And they have the imagination to convert scientific principle to product. And these are the space scientists, because to go to space, obviously you have to send something, because or you have
Right.
to go by some vehicle which is to be designed differently. And one of the best explanation of innovation, because what you need in innovations, all the places, and everybody cannot be, you may be learned, but you may not be innovators, because you may not have the imagination. And but you can be good professor, you can be good directors, but you may not be innovators. If you become both, then it is very fine. But innovation is a knowledge plus imagination, and an eye for an utility. Converting a technology or an idea to an utility is an innovation. And one of the best definition of innovation was given to me by Shankaracharya Puri,
Right.
that he's a great mathematician.
Mm.
Swami Nishchalananda, he gave a talk, and he's a superb talk, speech he gave on innovation. It is astounding. He gave from the Sanskrit, from Vedas, the ideas of innovation. You see, we have all heard, they say mantra, tantra, yantra. It is the three words we have been using. क्या
Right.
जंत्र मंत्र कर रहे हो ऐसा बोल रहे हो ना. Actually, what is mantra is your brain and your thought process. What is yantra? It's a product. It may be knife, it may be computer, it may be a simple pen like this, or it may be paper. These are all yantra product. And you see, you may think this product is made of metal, is made of woods, made of plastics, but just think of deeply. It is a product born out of somebody's thought process or mantra. Yantra comes from the mantra. And the process of converting an idea to a product or an instrument or an experiment is a process called tantra. So this process, if you can remember that if you want to build something, you need an imagination, that your brain, your thought process, and you also need a tantra or an organization or a company or a lab or a set of equipments or a set of instrumentation or measuring instruments or a fabrication instruments. So it's imagination plus your idea of converting to imagination to a product. If this is there, you are successful. If you have only imagination in your mind, it's nice. But in every imagination, even a poet is an innovator. He has a thought process, he has a command, the tantra of the language or linguistics, his grammar and the chanda, and he converts into a piece of poetry, which is a tantra. So innovation is not just a proprietary of scientists. It is the proprietary of all the people who are imagination. It may be Picasso, it can be Rembrandt, it can be Rabindranath Tagore, it can be Mahatma Gandhi, it can be any man who has, or Nelson Mandela, or anybody who has converted a thought process to a reality, real social situation, real product, real.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right, sir. Yeah. So just want to ask out of curiosity that the recent hearing about the UFO things, the alien technology is going on in USA. So what's your perspective of like
You see,
about this
I have
thing?
not seen this. Some people have
Right.
seen, somebody has seen, and but I will not discount also.
Right.
But I don't know, those are UFOs or something, or some clandestine American experiments
Hmm.
whom they are passing on as UFO. It can all happen. But I must say, if we can exist today on Earth, then somebody like us also may be existing. They may not be like us, it may be somebody else,
Hmm.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It may be, that what is called jellyfish.
Yeah.
They are the one of the most intelligent animal
Hmm.
who can plan, who can hide, who can change colors, everything. Oh, so we don't know. Tomorrow it may be a day of jellyfishes taking over us. It may so
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
Whose brain is distributed to all its 8 tentacles. So our we are only having brain here, but somebody having brain all over the body.
Yeah.
It's a
True.
miracle. So this is all can happen. So there must be somebody like us or different from us in somewhere else. And just because there is an absence of proof, it is not at all a proof of absence.
Right.
So I will not discount the UFOs, they may be possible and all. I will not discount that several stories of our folklores, Ramayana, Mahabharata, where people descended from some other place.
Right.
I will not discount that exceeding carvings in Konark or any other temples, how they could do in those days, that which needed a very sophisticated architecture and artistry and fabrication process. I don't know that is done by us or done somebody. So this is what is that are not discount aliens. They must be there.
Right. Right, sir.
Sir, you have always shown great interest in science outreach. How do you see the importance of space research in the lives of general public?
Oh, you see, it is a actually you are getting benefited daily. Today, at one time, the uh, ministries used to fall at the hike in price of onion. But today, and there is to be, they say you have not seen in our childhood, we have seen the famine where we were forced to eat rice, this wheat gehu for the first time.
Right.
It was sent to us as a donation under the PL40 scheme. It was in 1966, and India had a very difficult situation. Today, we are giving free food to 80 crores people, and it is all the government is today getting from our array of satellites an exact and approximate idea of our crop production, and accordingly they are planning. Or whether they say, I have seen the 1970s the Bhola cyclone, which has actually killed almost 5 lakh people in Bangladesh, East Pakistan. In fact, the reason of uprising in Bangladesh was the mishandling of the Bhola cyclone. I have seen it was, I was in Kolkata that time. And and today you don't see people dying, in
Hmm.
a cyclone. It's all there. That's a, it's all we are able to see very our scatterometer, which I made a great contribution to building it. It gives you that a precise location of the cyclone hitting. So you don't have to now vacate the whole of Orissa. You have to vacate probably only Gopalpur and some adjoining areas. So this has, or you can see the communication. Today mobile has come, but they are also using the satellite as a backhaul. 5G, 4G, all very nice, but they are using satellite or even that fiber cable. And we brought the communication revolution. We brought the television revolution. We are the country first to introduce the infotainment, that you can send information with a entertainment, and no country has so many channels, and we would not have got Smriti Irani without those serials, and we would not have learned our younger people this Mahabharata and this Ramayana stories without those serials,
Right.
and we would not have been seen the Sarukh Khan without those serials in Didi.
Right.
And this is what has happened. And this television, the way the entertainment is spread, that's people are fighting for the remote in the family. This all happened because of the space technology.
Right.
The country leaped forward. The country that all the ATMs have been formed, they were linked by satellite. That's the ISRO's contribution. It is every day, you push your card and get the money. You don't look at this antenna on the top of ATM.
Right.
Nowadays they're coming in fiber. So this is all there. And today, that education is coming through YouTube and all this. This the precursor was the television. Education was spread through the television, and this is all it has happened, and it is going to change in a myriad ways. It's a imagination is the key, but those who have grown up with the same thing, we take our parents for granted.
Right.
Similarly, we take this, all this contribution from space scientists for granted because we see daily. We don't feel any difference. But those who are grown at those ages, where each telephone used to be a struggle, to today's date, we know that how much we ease the things.
Right, sir. So, as we near the end of the podcast, we would be very grateful to know what exciting projects or initiatives are you currently working on. Can you give us a glimpse of what the future holds for Dr. Tapan Misra and CC Radar?
Okay. It, see, we have this CC radar will build radars which will be entirely different, which has not been built in India. That is the motto. So we have launched a product which has been being tested by very minds. It is I call it a hyperspectral among the ground penetrating radar.
Mm.
It's a whooping 6 gigahertz bandwidth scan simultaneously, and you can go to different depths and different resolution by choosing frequency and processing at different segments. It is like a hyperspectral camera data.
Mm.
Nowhere it is there. We are the first people to bring out such a concept. Then we are the probably second or third in the world to bring out the drone SAR, low altitude drone SAR. And we are the first in India. The image is there with us. We have not come in public because of this. Then we have a plan and patent, that everybody sees the SAR in X band. They're so nice, but X band is pretty useless in our country because they only scan through the top surface of canopies. They cannot penetrate.
Oh.
If you want to penetrate, you need a bigger wavelength. So I am working on L band. I have been proposing to Indian Air Force and all, and it will be they say everybody says that the L band means the resolution will be 10 meters or 5 meters. But I said, who told you you can make it a few lambda, 2 lambda? I am now going to prove it. You can generate all ideas in synthetic aperture radar was there. You can process it with a up to 10 lambda resolution. So if you have a 3 centimeter, you can go to 0.3 meter. That is what the all S-band SARs are doing. If you have a 24 centimeter, you can go to 2.4 meters. But I am coming with my patented technology, which will give you a change, a 1 meter SAR in L band, which will be the most useful for the country, both for military as well as the crop and forestry. And this will be with a resolution of 1 meter. And unlike other SAR systems of high resolution who use a spotlight SAR, I will use a continuous. So per orbit will give 100 times more area covered in 1 meter than the standard international X-band SAR. So this is the way we are working on it. And I built this company. Everybody in our country, they always want to give a catchy European sounding names.
Right.
Venus, Mars, and all those things. But I am quite rooted in India. So I have named it in the name of the Sisir K. Mitra, who discovered D layer and sporadic D layer as C layer, and who first time proposed that all the ionization in atmosphere is because of ionization of nitrogen. And then everybody laughed at him, and but he was not given Nobel Prize. And today, all iron thrusters using that this- and xeon, xenon, all gases. You will find the periodic table position. They are all inert gases, and they and he was the first time who could measure the height of D layer and sporadic D layer with a technology quite primitive. It's a reflection and receiving in some other place. And this place, we had a, he made, which I think it is a very precursor to radar. In fact, his paper came in 1935 in Nature, and the radar came in 1937. So I thought that a great scientist, we all forgot, except those who are in the physics and esoteric atmospheric physics knows his name. But he was a student of C.V. Raman and Fabry Perot and all, and he did an excellent research and one of the founding figures of atmospheric science. And I thought I'll give the company the name there. But then, surprisingly, we have become Indians as such a different. Many places people ask me, what is the full form of CSIR, SISIR?
Right.
And if I say the CSIR K. Mitra, you know, who was as big a doyen of scientists as all this Satyan Bose or the Meghnad Saha or C.B. Raman. He was the student of C.B. Raman,
Hmm.
and but nobody remembers this case because the subject was esoteric. But on whose discovery, going by this principle today, all iron thrusters are implemented. That the inert gases can be ionized.
Right. Yeah. That's great to hear such an amazing words from you, and we will be really we'll be waiting for the outcomes of your research in future. So that is truly inspiring, and we thank you for sharing your valuable time and insights for us with
And
us.
thank you very much
Yeah.
for entertaining me. Means, I am tucked away in an obscure corner of Bengal. So it's very interesting because actually I studied in Ramakrishna missions.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I am indebted to Ramakrishna mission for we are from a very large family. We came from Orissa and we are not very well off. And our brothers were taken care of by Ramakrishna mission. They gave us education and all of that. They gave us free, and the condition was that to get this scholarship you have to be of the top three in the class, and everybody. So I had no other way other than that topping the three
Right.
position in classes, and that is how it happened. We went ahead, and they gave us fabulous education, and moreover, the ISRO gave that they gave a rooting in your ancestry, and that's very important because howsoever big you grow, no tree can be remain big enough if the roots are not deep in it.
Hmm.
So my request to you, you may grow anything big, but please grow your roots in the country, in the place you are born, you are staying. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.